So I just made this video a few days ago about Nintendo's policy for their hardware. And I think I've seen a very interesting defense to this particular thing. I don't know what it is. All right, let's examine it ourselves. So Nintendo puts out their, or their terms of service or something of that nature, terms of use, I don't remember exactly, gets out there. And they're saying, any tampering or whatever you do with their hardware could have them render your hardware unusable in part or in whole. So my video was about the hardware. I like hardware. I look at hardware from a different perspective. I'm a PC gamer. And, when I'm looking at ownership in terms of hardware, I don't see AMD or NVIDIA or Intel actually giving you any caveats when they sell you hardware. And these console users, or I say console users, these console manufacturers want to put their users in a very precarious situation. So this person said this false narrative of Nintendo trying to take away game ownership because of their anti-piracy enforcement is really short-sighted. Before they even continue, I never made any claim about ownership in terms of software and Nintendo. I did not do that. I washed my hands off of that argument. If you want to give Nintendo your money, do that. I buy digital games on Steam, and I understand that I don't own those games in terms of that digital perspective. Even on good old games, you still have to follow EULA terms that are available. But yes, you do have those, installable launchers because they're DRM free. That's probably the closest that you can get with old school Nintendo cartridges as well, being on that list, when you actually weigh things. So I never even talked about that. So that's already where we are at an impasse when it comes to this conversation. They said the reason Nintendo are so uptight about piracy is because, unlike the other two companies, Nintendo wants to give gamers legitimate ownership of their digital purchases. This is a bunch of bollocks. If we're going to actually go there, Nintendo that's suing Power World's maker for mechanics in a video game that they somewhere patented is who's going to, I'm going to have to believe that they have this, I don't know what you want to call it, customer friendly reason to want to do it. You got to look at the company that you're actually trying to talk about here. You said Microsoft has been building the infrastructure for cloud gaming and streaming subscriptions, so they don't have to worry about piracy, and Sony ain't far behind them. How do you mean? So you're trying to tell me that these companies are going to go ahead and take away the purchase of digital games? The virtual game card and game key cards, for all the perceived downsides, I don't even know what the downsides are. I don't even care. That's the thing. I'm just like, I'm just more about the price of the games. Those are the things that I've actually criticized as to why are they selling their games for $80 in the industry when their games have a lower budget. They look like things that, a school or a classroom of game development students about 18, 19 years old can actually create, and they want to ask $80 for, right? I hope y'all know that there's actually like a game on Steam, that Superman-like game. It was created by a class of game development students that all look like freaking teenagers. That's why I always make that comparison. When people say, oh, you can't be that serious, I'm like, I am that serious. Because when you go to their university and like look at their graduating class and the school and the kids that are going to school there, you'll be like, no way these kids made this game. But wait, they actually did. Some people don't even know that as low as the middle school, school range in terms of students, they teach game design right now in America in many, many schools. Even in the podunk, schools out there that I've actually visited, I've seen that. And then they said, these are the first steps towards true digital ownership. True digital ownership? Dude, we don't even know what these games are going to ask you to agree to when they launch. How do you know what is true digital ownership? When there's good old games there? So for all those diehard pirates, false moral and gaslighting arguments, this guy is running shield for, that's why I hid your name. To justify not buying games on Nintendo, games, and then Nintendo is the worst compared to what Microsoft or Sony are pulling right in front of you. You guys are completely invalid, and if everyone did what they're doing, there would be no gaming industry left, only a cloud streaming one. See, if there's no gaming industry left, we'll all survive. I think these first world problems that we're all dealing with here with these gaming companies probably need to basically, implode upon itself. Because, man, I have never seen anything like this where people will go ahead and pretty much defend a multi-billion-dollar company that is very, very anti-consumer. Okay, how do you defend the one where they're charging you for that C button? How do you do that? I don't even care about the game key cards. Like I said, I buy games on Steam, so it's a whole different conversation there. I couldn't be bothered. I know it's a license, so I pay what I want for it, right? When it comes down to it. So how would you go ahead and justify a lot of the other things that are that are being done here? Tell me. Tell me. You see, this is the problem that we have with brand loyalty that is, in my opinion anyways, very, very, that could be a key to irrationality. We're just pointing out a problem, and it's a problem for the hardware. It's like you come out with you see how you didn't even address anything about the hardware? Did you see that? Did you see how you carefully scooted by that to go blame people that you think are about to ruin your fun? Buy your Switch 2. No one's stopping you, man. Maybe if you start hearing the voices of the people saying this, it might deter you, but it doesn't seem like it. You don't have to justify anything to anybody, but at least be able to call out the truth when it's the truth. And I think if there's anything that's going to destroy gaming, it's the bad consumer, practices that are accepted by the consumers. That's actually what's going to destroy gaming. Because at some point, the consumers are going to be fed up. In fact, they're already getting fed up, especially in the area of the bad video games that are being launching. And so now games are barely selling. Did you not see Matt Piscatella's data sets? Where about 30% of people will not buy video games. That's already another problem with the, black hole games, the free-to-play titles that people are playing almost all the time. Then you got a small percentage of gamers that are actually buying games frequently. You think Nintendo and their digital rights are going to be the things, or PlayStation and Microsoft streaming games are going to be things that will actually ruin the gaming industry? I say look again. And stop defending these corpos, man. They don't, I don't know if that's, can we call that a defense? I think it's a defense, and it's one that's off because it doesn't even have anything to do with the video that I actually made. Stop the fanboys, and geez, this thing is insane, man. I'm out.